What's going on, guys? This is a brief video on how to warm up for your first working set. And these warm-up sets are most likely going to be used for kind of the bigger lifts that you might see in your workout programming, things like squats or deadlifts or bench press or using the barbell for things like rows or RDLs or overhead press, or even using dumbbells for some of those same movements as well. But as you continue to progress and increase weight, the more warm up and the more primed you have to get your muscles to be able to handle those weight loads and to continue to progress over time. So warm up sets are super important, but they're not going to be meant for every single exercise that you do for your workout programming, because that would make your workouts like 2 hours long. And that's not what we want to do. So another important thing is these warm up sets build on that general warm up that I have you do in your workout programming. So always remember to complete that prior to actually starting your workout as well. Now, when we perform our warm-up sets before our first working set, and when I refer to working set, I mean the weight that you tend on using for that day, for that particular lift. Using this pyramid approach is something that I will have you be doing, and it's very effective, and it gets the job done really well. And what it is you start with the set that's super lightweight, and you do a lot more reps. And then over the next couple sets, you slowly increase the weight and you decrease the reps as you get closer to your working weight. And I'm going to give you an example of this in a second. But a good rule of thumb to remember is performing at least one set in between that initial really light set. So maybe using the bar and doing 15 to 20 reps, and before you start your working set. So using the weight that you will be using for that day for that particular lift. Why is this important? Warm-up sets really prime your joints and your muscles, and it kind of helps you perform that movement more optimally. It also allows you to take some time to get your technique in check and to get into a rhythm before you start adding more weight. And using this pyramid approach is where again, you're progressively using heavier weights and lowering your reps as you approach that working weight, instead of just going in and immediately starting your workout at your working weight. But what this does is it allows your nervous system to prepare for that heavy weight, and it'll kind of prevent some of that unnecessary fatigue that you might feel without performing any warm-up sets before getting to your actual working weight. And again, using warm-up sets, they can help reduce injury, and overall, we're trying to maximize your performance. That's what warm-up reps are for, is to be able to prime your body and your muscles to be able to handle that load that we're progressing to week after week after week. So I'll give you an example. Let's say we're doing squats, back squats. The goal for the day is to do 6 reps of 160 pounds. What this pyramid scheme might look like, or this pyramid approach might look like for a warm-up, is getting the bar, just doing an empty bar for 15 reps. That's your first warm-up set. Second warm-up set is doing 8 reps, but having 110 pounds on your back. Then after that, going into your working set, which is 6 reps of 160 pounds. Now, as you can see, doing one warm-up set and then just jumping into your working set is not optimal. And going back to a slide, like having at least one warm-up set in between that first warm-up set and your working set is super important. So moral of the story, don't skip the warm-up sets, because it really helps prime you for handling more load as you continue to progress in your workouts. Now, the heavier the weight, the more warm-up sets you should probably do. In that last example, 160 pounds, that's a lot of weight for some people, absolutely. But things will continue to change, and as you continue to get stronger, that weight will increase. So let's give the second example. Maybe you're up to 315 pounds on your squat, and the working set goal for the day is 5 reps of that 315 pounds. So that warm-up set number 1 might look like 15 reps of just the empty bar, just like the last one. Second warm-up set is 8 reps of that 135. Third warm-up set, maybe it's 5 reps of 225. Your fourth warm-up set, maybe it's 2 reps of 275 pounds. Fifth warm-up set, if you get to a fifth warm-up set, maybe you're just doing 1 rep of 300 pounds before you load, your bar for your working set of the day. Now, theoretically, you could extend these warm-up sets a little bit more by putting 315 on the bar and getting to your working set. And maybe after warm-up set 5, you have a warm-up set 6, and maybe it's 1 rep at 315 pounds before you get into your working set of 5 at 315 pounds. Like, you don't have to do this, but just another idea. But this is a great example of the heavier the weight and the more weight that you're doing, the more warm-up sets that you might have to do in preparation for that. And again, this is an example. It's not a prescription. You might feel really good doing 3 or 4 warm-up sets, right? Some people maybe do 5 or 6. Kind of depends on time and what you have time for and what you're able to do that day. So biggest thoughts, biggest takeaways is warm-up sets really help prime your joints and your muscles necessary to perform that range of motion, and it helps get you into the groove, and it keeps your technique in check under less load, and it can help reduce your risk of injury, and it can improve your performance as well. So super, super important. There's so many benefits of doing warm-up sets. So I want you to view this as mandatory, especially as you start to lift heavier weights longer into your program. This pyramid approach is perfect because it kind of allows your nervous system to prepare and prepare for those heavier working sets without being tired going straight into a working set without having any warm-up sets prior to. So another thing, the heavier you're lifting, the more warm-up sets you should probably actually do. And if you are, let's say, doing the squats as an example, and then let's say your next movement, once you are done with those squats, you are going to leg press. You can abbreviate those warm-up reps or those warm-up sets of that leg press because you've already warmed up adequately for another major lift that is using similar muscle groups. So keeping that in mind, not doing these warm-up sets for literally every single exercise that you're doing, but definitely more for the major lifts. And as you continue to increase the weight that you're using, keeping this in mind, it's super important to prioritize your warm-up sets, because that's how you're going to get the most out of your exercises. Hope this makes sense. Let me know if it doesn't, and I'll talk to you soon.